Hello and welcome to another edition of Overcoming Illness. I am Paula Denoncourt, your host, founder, and CEO of Enrich Your Health. I'm a holistic health coach. I've been doing my business since about 2010. I myself suffered from multiple food allergies, and I help my clients stop living a life of pain and suffering by giving them simple dietary tips, lifestyle tips. So I offer simple recipes that are dairy-free, gluten-free, low in sugar, all that kind of good stuff. I had to do that all. I had to eat sugar-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, you name it. And it wasn't easy. So I provide simple recipes. I'm looking for people to partner with that. So if you know any practitioners or doctors or anything like that, please hit me up. You can do that on Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger. My email is enrichyourhealth with a U-R, ENRICHURHEALTH, the number 1 at gmail.com. You can reach me there, or you can text me 508-330-9665. I decided to do this show, Overcoming Illness, for people that have gone through an illness, that are going through an illness. And we've had some amazing shows. So please go watch the replays. Give Elevation TV Network some love, their YouTube channel, their Facebook channel. We've had people on with like congestive heart failure, cancer, mold toxicity, all different things, emotional illness, autism, deafness, all different topics. So I am looking for more people for the show. I am really excited for the guests that we have tonight. If you're looking to be a guest, hit me up on that information I just gave you. Also looking for sponsors. I also do a business spotlight. So if you want your business in the spotlight in the next coming months for Christmas, you're trying to get your stuff out there for Christmas or the holidays, hit me up. I advertise you on all my platforms for a really inexpensive fee on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok if you choose, LinkedIn, all of that. So it can help you with that. So with that, I'm really excited for all my authors here tonight. They are best-selling authors. They wrote a book together, an anthology. Dr. Shana Gradine was the visionary of the book, if you will, who started to put it together. And it's called Turning My Pain into Purpose. So if you didn't see part 1, we had a few authors on last night, including Dr. Shana. And so I am going to read the synopsis of the beginning of the book. It's available on Amazon. And it is a message of strength, growth, and healing. To all who read this, I want you to know that within you lies an incredible wealth of strength, resilience, and purpose. Life can bring unexpected challenges, deep wounds, and moments of darkness. But I believe that every experience you face holds within it a path toward growth, healing, and purpose. Your story is unique, valuable, and powerful. No matter where you are on your journey, whether you're taking the first step toward healing or standing tall in your newfound strength, remember that you are not alone. There's a community of support, of love, and of understanding around you, even if you can't see it just yet. Embrace each moment of growth, however small it may seem. Trust that every experience, every struggle, and every triumph is molding you into the person you're meant to be. Let your pain transform your purpose, knowing that what you endure today can be the light someone else needs tomorrow. I love that. I'm here with you, encouraging you to find beauty in the process, to believe in the power of your story, and to step boldly into the healing and strength that awaits. Let's walk this journey together, finding purpose, building resilience, and creating a legacy of growth and love. With strength, hope, and unwavering faith in your journey, your visionary of strength, growth, and healing. So welcome, all you aspiring, best-selling authors. Welcome to Overcoming Illness. So we'll start with Pamela. So let me just get your bio. So Miss Pamela Hankins, oops, lost it, is writing under the pen name P. Hankins, is the author of the Amazon bestseller, The Chronicles of a Praying Wife. She is passionate about inspiring women to embrace their feminine energy and find empowerment through faith and community. In 2020, Pamela and her husband co-founded Operation 412NC, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting individuals in non-traditional housing. I love that. Based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Their mission is to expand the organization's impact to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pamela is a proud mother of two, a bonus mom to four, and a grandmother of four. Her life's work reflects her devotion to family, faith, and creating meaningful change in the lives of others. Welcome, Pamela. Thank you for being on tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Pamela, let's just start by tell us a little bit about your background, because we kind of read it. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in North Carolina?
I did not. I'm actually originally from Pennsylvania. I was born in Erie, Pennsylvania, actually. And by the age of 5, my mom and my sister and I, we moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I've primarily lived and grew up in Pittsburgh.
Okay. All right. And so Pamela, tell us the chapter that you wrote in the book, the name of the chapter. What's the name of your chapter?
So the chapter that I wrote in the book was in reference to the pain I experienced during a 5-year separation that my husband and I were separated.
Wow. Okay. So tell us a little bit from day one when you were approached to do the book. Did you have to think about it, or were you just like, yeah, I need to do this book and I'm ready?
Oh, it was no hesitation that I needed to do the book. I knew, just like you mentioned before, and even in some of the dialogue that we had before the show, our stories are important to be shared. You know, sometimes people, they have to see it in order to believe it. And so I knew having overcome infidelity and 5 years of separation from my husband, that other women had to see and know that all things are possible through the power of prayer.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So when did you realize that your pain had a purpose? Because, obviously when we're growing through all kinds of stuff, we don't realize that there could be a purpose behind it. We're just like seeing the pain. We're just seeing the struggle. How long did it take you before you realized that, maybe there's a reason for this?
It was when my husband and I reconciled, and, God spoke to me and said, that I needed to share it. I remember that day in the shower, believe it or not. And he was like, really, you really need to share your story, because, often enough, when people are separated and there's been infidelity, the first thing we want to do is run and get divorced. And that's only because, when Paul had asked, or the question was asked in the Bible in reference to divorce, there were certain criteria that were given. And sometimes we just read, a particular scripture, but we don't read the basis behind it or even after it to understand. And one thing that, in my journey, God said, try me, test me. You've done this before. You've gotten a divorce before, but try me, stand on my word. And so, because my faith was different and my walk was a lot different prior to my other marriage, or marriages, I would say, I said, okay, God, you know what? I've tried it my way. So, I mean, what is it going to hurt to try it your way? And
Mm.
so the proof is definitely in the fact that I tried it his way. And when I thought I was praying for my husband, I was actually really praying for the both of us. And as I prayed that God would change my husband, God also changed me as well.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's amazing. Wow. So tell us, knowing what you know now, what would you change in your journey?
You know what? It's funny you asked that question because I thought about it and I don't think I would change anything. You know, it's good to do things perfectly. It's good to get the lesson right off the bat. But when you go through a thing, you kind of learn the what not to do. When everything is always perfect, you never know that what's not to do. And then you can't share, what you don't know. And so,
Mhm.
it was painful, but I wouldn't change, a thing about it because now I know what needs to be shared. And I've heard that saying said that sometimes your blessing is just not only for you, but it's for others. And so I truly believe in my heart of hearts that what I went through was just not for myself, but it was to share with other women who may be in the same predicament, and even for other women to help, prevent the same predicament.
And one thing I noticed, I worked you guys don't know me, so I worked in a prison for 22 years. It was an all male prison. And one thing I noticed with men was one of the reasons they cheat was not just like they lusted after somebody or they got to be friends with a coworker or whatever. A lot of it was attention. They weren't getting attention anymore. So if they weren't getting attention, it would lead them to find it from someone else. It wasn't like a lot of us are led to believe, oh, they're just going to go after a younger, more beautiful woman, the cliche, you know what I mean? And that's what I learned. I learned because believe me, a lot of them would cheat. It was an all male prison, lots of male officers. But a lot of times when I would talk to them, that was like they weren't getting attention. Like two of them would be working all the time. They'd come home, the kids would sleep in the same bed. So the man just was not getting attention. That was one of the reasons they would cheat. They weren't getting attention. So I found that very fascinating to learn because we don't all think that way. You know what I mean? We think it's all about the eyes, that they well, really, it's all about like the eyes. They just lust after somebody. They got no morals. No, it's attention. They're not getting attention. So they look for it somewhere else. Yeah.
I definitely can agree with that point a bit. I know in my particular situation, I definitely was very career driven. I was working two jobs and going to
Hmm.
school full time. I was determined that I was going to make the dean's list,
Hmm.
while pursuing my second and first master's. And so
Wow.
I know that, that time spent away, and then my husband and I would always say we're like the sun and the moon because I worked primarily one shift and he worked, night. So it was almost like two strangers in the night, if you will.
Yep.
And so you're right, there was, attention that was lacking, but then also the way that I spoke with to him at times when we had disagreements, right?
Right.
I talked to him as if he was my child versus as if he was my husband and my king. And so I
Hmm.
had to learn how to, really stand on that scripture where it says that you catch more, bees. I mean, well, you can catch more bees with honey than you can with lemons. And so I knew that I had to, speak more gently to him. And then even having that come from a very good male childhood friend that I grew up with, who I refer to as my Nathan, he corrected me and said, hey, you know, no wonder he left, because if you said everything that to him that you just said to me, I would have probably been out there doing what he was doing too. And so I
Hmm.
just needed that, I needed that from him. And I
Hmm.
needed that ideology that, because I was so career driven, was good in school, that I was perfect. And he completely, shattered all of that. But it was good because then a better foundation was built. And so I'm grateful for that foundation. And we definitely are very, adamant about the time that we spend. I'm very, you know, I take everything to him. We discuss everything. But the one thing that I love even more is that we pray together. And that was definitely something that was missing in our marriage. And we
Yeah,
pray together and worship together. And so I'm just grateful for God, to God for the journey.
that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So what words of encouragement would you give to someone in a similar situation?
Well, the first words of encouragement I would say, you can get through this, you know, and you will only get through it is through prayer. I can't guarantee that your outcome will be the same as mine, but what I can guarantee is that we serve a mighty and awesome God, and that whatever your outcome is, whatever He has imagined for you, you'll have that. And so just hold on to that, whatever that is, or that there for you is, God has that for you, and just hold on to His unchanging hand.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to go back to what you were saying about praying together. A lot of people don't realize how important that is. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I'm glad that I'm sure it's in your chapter. People need to know about these things. They don't realize it, they don't think about it, but it's something that needs to be shared and talked about, you know? So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So there's a saying, no pain, no gain. So what did you gain from your pain?
I gained a better walk with God. Um,
Mm,
when I was hurting, all of the friends that I thought I had, I mean, some of the advice they gave me was crazy. You know, some
mm,
people say, when you're dealing with one man, to get back over one man is to get under another. I'm like, but I'm a woman of faith, so that is not working, even though it's not to say that people, who don't associate themselves or claim to be Christians don't do that. But
mm.
I wanted something different. I wanted a better outcome. And definitely my relationship with God is what I truly gained through all of it.
Amen to that. Amen. And was this your first anthology experience?
It was,
Oh, wow.
and I'm very excited. I
Yeah.
mean, that my first anthology experience turned out to be a number one Amazon bestseller. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. I did, like I said, you guys don't know me. So I did two anthologies. I did one, it's called But God, I'm Still Here. And the other one is Activate Your Faith, Witness a Generational Turnaround. The second one is actually on Amazon. And for anybody listening, if you want to go get that book, it's got some amazing overcomers in there. One person was in an airplane crash. A few people have gone through strokes. Another person had diabetic retinopathy. So she was going blind. Just some amazing overcomers. So if you want to check it out, feel free. It's on Amazon. And have you gotten to know any of your co-authors?
I know one of my co-authors, Dr. Josephine Harris. And so after this evening, I plan on getting to know the rest that are sharing this on platform with me today.
Awesome. That's awesome. And how does it feel to be a number one bestseller? That's like an amazing feeling.
It feels great.
Good. Good for you. Congratulations again. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing your chapter and your story. Once again, if anybody wants to get it on Amazon, it's Turning My Pain into Purpose by Dr. Shana Gordine and these wonderful authors. So next we're going to go to Miss Teresa. I want to say that name right, Hendrington.
Yes.
So let me pull up your information. Okay. Teresa is a native of the Bronx, New York. She graduated with a master's degree in special education from Hunter College, a bachelor's degree in professional studies in human services from Metropolitan College of New York, and an New York State Family Development certification from Lemon College. Her academic journey reflects her deep commitment to education and human services. As a parent, grandparent, and educator whose life has been touched by special needs, Teresa founded Hearts Place Services, LLC, a consulting organization born out of her passion and love for a sweet spot in special education with neurodiversity approaches, facilitating professional development and team building events, focusing on advocacy in special needs, college, career, and work readiness, and curriculum enhancement, among others. Teresa has had over 2 decades of experience in the educational sector. Driven by passion for the learning and a heart for service, she pursued theological studies at Rehoboth Seminary, where she is licensed as an International Task Force chaplain. This accomplishment highlights her dedication to the service of others and her readiness to serve in diverse and challenging environments. Throughout her years of education and administrative work, she earned a reputation for being one of the most notable educational consultants in the 5 boroughs of New York. That's amazing. Her career journey is marked by her role as a teacher, director, coordinator, and supervisor. Her personal experience as parent and grandparent of special needs children has fueled her advocacy in the field of education, where she tirelessly works to support and upload those in special needs and neurodiverse community. Her advocacy is not just a professional duty, but a personal mission driven by her own life experiences. The interests of her clients are always a top priority. Teresa goes above and beyond to ensure clients get the results they need. She believes that if you are not a part of the problem, you are part of the solution. So welcome, Teresa.
Thank you. So
So
glad
that
to
is
be.
that is quite a bio. So first of all, like I said before, you guys don't know me, you've never, you know much about me. I was one of those special needs kids. I was in special education growing up. So I commend you for what you're doing. That is amazing. So tell us just a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up?
Well, I actually am a native of the Bronx, New York.
Just the
And
Bronx.
yes, so growing up in the Bronx, going through the public educational system. Currently, I am now a Westchester County resident, and still my roots run deep back into the Bronx, as well as the other boroughs and even outer states that have reached out to me.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to commend you for just choosing that line of work with special needs. It's not easy. You have to have a lot of patience. I mean, that's a tough field. So I give you so much kudos and commend you for doing that. Yeah. Somebody's gonna do it. And I thank you for doing it because it's not easy. Definitely not easy.
Thank you. It is something that is a passion of mine, and just like you said in the bio. So it's professional as well as personal, having dealing with a child as well as grandchildren in the special needs area, the neurodivergent, and also being a professional working in the field in those various different lines as a director, coordinator, teacher, and all of those things. I believe that it is important, because of my journey and what I've experienced, to help close the gap. I'm solution oriented. And so what I saw, I said, I'm no longer going to complain about it, but I'm going to make sure that I am a solution so that not that no other parent will go through it, but that parents would know that they're not alone. Because when I went through it, I felt that I was alone. I felt that I was alone because a lot of people didn't really understand it. They didn't know a lot of different things about special education, and even now to where there are different laws and different curriculums, and
Yeah,
I'm an advocate at heart.
yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you for that. So tell us a little bit, and we may even go revisit that, but tell us the name of your chapter and what was your story about in the book?
So the name of my chapter is A Mother's Journey Through Special Education, Advocacy, and Parenthood. My portion in this book, just to give you a little glimpse, is just being a parent going through the special education system, how I was made to feel by teachers, by administration, and also how, because I didn't know too much about it, I was determined
Right.
to fight for my child, which then turned into the advocacy portion of it. And then looking at how being a parent and looking at the special education, really acknowledging the frustration, being exhausted, at the same time being told, just sign here, sign this, and feeling as if my voice was muted, as well as my child's voice was muted. So this is how that came
Wow.
to be in terms of my journey and turning my pain into purpose.
Well, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So my biggest problem was reading, and still is. I'm a slow learner and I don't comprehend everything I read all the time. So I was born in 1967. So at that time, and you may know this, there was like one or the other. You were either up here in the high rated classes or you're either down here in the special needs. There was no in between back then. So I was kind of in between, but they stuck me down here because I couldn't comprehend everything I read. You know, the minute I started excelling, you know what I mean, and other things, they didn't know what to do with me. So this was like probably around fourth grade, I'd say. But even till this day, I struggle. I don't like to use that word. I don't want to put it on myself, as we know. You know, you don't want to declare things, but I do. Like, I'm just a slow learner, like doing stuff for my business. Like, it takes me a little while to get things and to put things together and the tech stuff. And, you know, it's just who I am. You know, I accept it, you know, but thankfully now, you probably know more than I do. They have like more, you know, like in between stages of, you know, maybe you're in this stage, maybe you're in, you know what I mean? Thankfully, because they would either put me down here or up here. But then when they put me the higher levels, I couldn't handle it. It's like, what are you doing to me? I can't do this. I'm not at this level. Like I got stuck in college prep courses. I couldn't do them. I couldn't do stuff like algebra. I had a 20 in algebra. I couldn't do it. My brain likes to work with memorization. I can memorize anything, but I couldn't do like algebra. I took sign language. I could memorize sign language. I can memorize the signs, but you try to put those sentences together, and I'm like, what? I can't handle it because sign language is English language backwards. So instead of saying where do you live in sign language, they'll sign it and it'll be like you live where. So you have to get used to that being backwards. My brain was like, huh? I can't do this. So that's where like and still is, like I said, I don't like to use the word struggle. It's just something I've accepted. So I'm sure, I mean, you can speak to that, like what kind of special needs, you know, autism, there's all different aspects of autism.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, certainly. Let me first and foremost say thank you for being transparent and even just sharing that. So when we're talking and looking at the neurodivergent, right, we all are different learners. And
Right.
this is a journey that's not about education. It really isn't. But it is about human dignity. It is
Yeah.
about unlocking the unique potential that resides in each and every last one of us. So, during that time with even my child, having what's called orthographic processing. Back
Hmm.
then with special education, they didn't know anything about that. I mean, I was in a time with special education before D75, which is considered District 75, even
Hmm.
existed. And so when we're looking at special education and we're talking about the neurodivergent, I have worked with those who may be autistic. And even up until this day, I have clients because I'm also a OPWDD broker. So I help families getting service, and not only just children, but adults alike. And on this journey, it can be very emotional. It can be overwhelming,
Mm.
just the process and the diagnosis and being able to seek clarity. What are my next steps? What am I going to do next? Where am I? And
Right.
how do I begin to get out of this? And so this is where my business, Heart Place Services LLC, came into play because
Mm.
turning my pain into purpose was having the teachers keep failing my child, or I kept getting phone calls, or I kept getting notices. And it took me to be able to say, wait a minute, you keep telling me all the things that are being done wrong, but let me hear what is being done right. Are we
Right.
failing all of our classes? Is there areas of comprehension? Is it the
Mm.
coding? Is it coming to a place where the synapses in our brain is firing too fast and our eyes can't move to the caliber that our brain is moving to? So looking at all those things, I took it upon myself, did research, and I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. This is something that is very near and dear.
Mm.
So going into it was easy for me because I love it. I write IEPs. I look at and have helped other teachers in writing what's called the individual educational plan and
Mm.
coming up with all of these different systems and supports so that those that are learners in their own environment can learn.
Right.
Neurodivergent just means we learn differently. So you have your visual learners, you have your auditory
Yeah.
learners, you have your learners who you might have to break it down in small chunks, which we call in education chunking. So even when we come to our business, I look at businesses and looking at their policies where they're saying, oh, yes, we are deal with diversity and equity all across the board. And I say, what about your workers who have disabilities, the invisible disabilities that you can't see? I would
Yeah.
love to look at your policies. I would love to see how you deal with your onboarding and how you are really engaging as well as making those that have disabilities feel comfortable and wanting to say, this is a place that I can learn. I have a young lady who I've worked with her family since she was in middle school, going into high school, going into college. And just a few months ago, walking and being with her as she has graduated from leaving college with a double bachelor's. And this is a young lady who deals with autism, who have moments where
Okay.
she'll go in and out. She has seizures, and being able to talk with,
Oh, you're on mute.
okay, sorry about that. As I was saying, being with the young lady and working with her and working with the school at Lehman and being saying, these are the needs, this is the supports that we need to put in place, and
Mm.
these are the devices that she may need to help her in her academic and educational journey. So these are the things that I do in terms of advocating and
Yeah.
learning how to take something that is necessary and needed for a person to really be able to grow. Allow me to share about 15.2% of all students are enrolled in special education program
What?
from all the way up even into college. And this reflects a slight increase of 12.9% from 2012 up until present. Then
Wow.
that's a big jump. And then we also want to know that 67% approximately of special education students ages 6 to 21 spend an average of 80% of their time in general education classrooms. This figure has doubled since 1989. Showing a trend toward inclusive education. So that's where you see the educational system where now you may have 2 teachers in a classroom. You may have a para. Years ago, they didn't have that. When I was teaching in the 90s, they didn't have that. Late 80s, they didn't have any of that. So,
No.
this is something that is important. This is something that is necessary. And I'm determined to change the policy. I'm determined to be a change maker in the laws that govern an IDEA law. I tell anybody, it's not just an idea, IDEA, but it is a federal law. And so I have parents that are reaching out from as far as Virginia and North Carolina that are saying, Ms. Teresa, can you help us? Can you be present at my child's IEP meeting? And because they still have them virtual, absolutely 100%.
Well, I just want to say this, like one of my missions someday is like you, is to advocate, like, all these college courses they make you take to graduate. I quit college in my older years. I was in my 40s. I went back to get my bachelor's degree. I had my associate's. I quit college because they make you take algebra. And guess what? You want to laugh? I had 20 in high school, dropped it. Took it again in college. Now I took the pre-algebra class. I could do the one you need to graduate. I had a C in that, so I slid by to get to the next one. But when I took the next one, I had the world's worst teacher again, which was like deja vu because the last one was bad. And I had a 21. I just can't do algebra. And again, it was my brain because I'd go to the math lab after school all the time and I would do the problems and I'd do fine. But put them in a test where it's 5 chapters, I can't handle it. Just give me 1 chapter at a time and I could do it because I was doing fine 1 chapter at a time. So my mission someday, and I'm going to get with you, get rid of that crap.
And you certainly can. That was designed,
with that. You know what I mean? And I don't care who's listening to me. You shouldn't have to do all that to graduate college, if your brain can't handle it. So that's one thing. And then the other thing, like I've even noticed with jobs, like everything's about gotta be fast, you can't, like we have this thing like after call work. I answer phones for grocery stores full time. It's called after call work. Well, you're actually doing your job in between calls. You're documenting things, but they don't like that. You got to be answering the phones. That's going to be another mission to get rid of that. You're helping the people. You're doing your job. You're working. It just reminds me of that. You know how like they used to show you those clips of like the old days where people didn't get a break. They couldn't stop. It's kind of like they're trying to go back to that. You know what I mean? Like go, 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 go. No, it's so bad for you. Like, let us just do our job, like, and there's no quality in it. These customers are calling 25 times because they're not getting an answer because you're supposed to be off the phone in so many minutes. So those are my 2 missions. And again, it goes back to that, what are we all capable of? We're not all capable of doing things in 2 seconds, So I just wanted to add that. Anyway, that's my little
I look forward to partnering with you and anyone else that will listen to this broadcast. And let me just say that it is doable. In my teaching and throughout the years of over a decade of teaching, backwards design is a way in which you meet the person where they are and you walk backwards and do it in steps. So advocacy, it becomes a significant part of the journey that we all partake in, right? And the purpose of it is to ensure that everyone receives appropriate accommodations and services, whether they're in school, whether they're at the job, whether they're in the community. We don't want anyone, and I say we, talking about Heart to Place Services, we don't want anyone to feel as if they're left behind. So we know that the law, no child left behind. Well, we don't want anyone, whether you was a child started and now you're a grown adult, no one left behind. What is it going to take? We're going to have to build a support network by other parents, by other support groups, by
Yep.
online communities, and all of these different things and platforms such as this, certainly
Yep.
reaching out with us, are invaluable to the
Yep.
person and their families that are going through this. And so this is something where, once again, it is my sweet spot. Over
Yeah.
time, we're going to be able to find the empowerment that we can be able to bring ourselves up,
Make some
because
changes. Yeah.
absolutely the support that has been there in place.
Yeah. Well, I thank you. I wish we could talk more. We definitely will talk more, but maybe not on the show. We want to be able to get to everybody. So next we are going to go, and I thank you again. Thank you for sharing your story, your experiences, and I look forward to staying in touch. So thank you. And next we're going to go to Millicent. So let me pull up her information. I think it's here. So Dr. Millicent Driver is an entrepreneurial strategist, author, and speaker. Empowers professional women on their entrepreneurial journeys with a wealth of academic and real-world expertise, including a Bachelor of Science in Sociology and Master's degree in Public and Environmental Affairs, Human Services concentration, and Marriage and Family Therapy. She blends knowledge seamlessly, honored with a doctorate in philosophy of business, entrepreneurship, and certified as a business entrepreneur coach. Millicent's mission is crystal clear, guiding women towards personal growth, mindset transformation, and entrepreneurial triumphs, unveiling their inner beauty and strength. I love that. So welcome, Dr. Millicent Driver. Thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So what inspired you to be to do your chapter in the book? And what's the name of the chapter? And tell us, did you have to think about it, or did you just decide to do it right away?
Well, thinking about doing the anthology with Shayna, I didn't have to think about it long. Actually, I was on her podcast from another anthology that I was on, and we talked about that particular book, and then she introduced me to this opportunity, and it was a no-brainer, so I didn't have to think long. And my chapter is my journey from loss to impact. And so yeah, that from my journey from loss to impact. The first question you asked, I can't remember. What was it?
Well, first tell us, like everybody else, what's your little bit about your background? Where did you grow up?
Well, I'm from Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
That's where I've grown up at, and I lived other places. I was in the military, so I did live other places while I was serving, but I came back into this area. So I stayed on the outskirts of Gary now in Maryville, Indiana. But yeah, I grew up here and came back and been working in my community here and in Chicagoland since.
Nice. Okay. So tell us about your chapter. Tell us what
Well, my chapter is about loss. So, but it's about my journey from loss to impact. So I lost my son in 2011, which was, of course, a huge, blow in life. Losing anyone is a huge blow, but losing him, it was crippling, to say the least. So, just without going all through the whole journey of that,
give us the general.
You use all of that energy that you have in grieving. Once you get to a place where you feel that you can get up again, and kind of make a few steps, then you start to realize that you can still leave an impact in this world, you can take that energy and you can take that pain and you can actually turn that pain into purpose. So that's what I've done it didn't start right away. Of course, like I said, you had to wait until you're able to get up and walk again. So I had to have my time where I was just laying there crying, and I had to have my time where I was sitting there not doing absolutely nothing and trying to get myself together. All those degrees and things that I'd done was before my son. So
Right.
I was doing things and working my career. I was just doing my thing, which I thought was my thing at the time, until I had that came and they interrupted my life. So then I found myself for many years not doing anything. So once I got to the point where I was able to focus again and get to moving again, I had to learn how to live my life. I had to learn how to live a legacy in my name. So it wasn't just about my son anymore. It was about what it was I was going to do with the time I had left. So that was my greatest push and my greatest motivation at that particular time, was to turn this pain into something impactful. I don't want to always remember my son in a way where it was a tragic car accident, but I want to remember him in a positive way, but yet that pain fueled me into my purpose, where I'm not only living out my purpose and my desire as a professional woman, but I'm also pouring into other women or other people, whoever need to hear my story or my inspiration or my encouragement, taking that moment to be able to pour into them. So now nothing is in vain. Everything is for a purpose, whether it's at the time I had to cry and now I'm able to encourage others, but it's all working, together for the good.
And how old was your son when he died?
He was actually 20. He was 1 week from turning 21. Exactly. It was good. He passed away December 11th and his birthday, December 18th. So,
wow. Yeah. My goodness. Well, I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad you turned your pain into purpose. I actually just recently met a woman. She lost her daughter to a drunk driving accident, and her daughter, I want to say, was probably around that age, early 20s. I don't know exactly, but you guys should meet. You could probably help each other cope with it. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. I'll introduce you at some point. Yeah, definitely. So thank you for writing the story and sharing the story, because I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. My own dad was killed in an accident as well. He was walking from the store and a van hit him and killed him. So I get it. I totally get it.
But I will say that, when you share your story, it does, it draws you to people and it does create relationships. And, just so I can say without, maybe not permission, but I'm just going to say it anyway, with Pastor Burks there, we have, spoken, and I'm not going to share her story, but just put it this way, we have shared a lot, and her impact in my life was tremendous during, the time that we have talked. So, when you're going through those things and you around those who have like experiences, it does, it brings you closer, and it gives you to a different way of looking at things, I will say.
Yeah, and without saying too much, did he have siblings or any brothers and
sisters?
Yeah,
I have a daughter, and my daughter is actually, making great strides, and she has a good career. She's married with two sons. So yeah, so her birthday is actually in December too. She's going to be 30, so she's having her golden birthday. So yeah, I mean, so that's another thing. When he passed away, she was a junior in high school. Now she's about to be 30, and she has a career and everything. So you look at all of those things that can hold you back, or that you still have life and you still have a purpose, and you have to live your life out. Sometimes when we lose loved ones, we realize we have to come to realize that their passing is not our business. We all have to have our appointed time to go and the things that we have to do. But what are you going to do with your time? So I'm so very proud of her that, yeah, of course, the pain is still there, and we're getting ready to come upon the season, it just is what it is. But, to be able to see to be able to see the accomplishments, is massive, and is just so, it's a blessing. So yes, he has a sister, and I'm so proud of her, and she's doing great things.
Awesome. And did you have support? Was your husband there at the time? Did he
Oh
support?
yeah,
Good.
yeah, very, very supportive. I mean, you know, this was, this was us, together. And
Mhm.
things I could not do, he did. And we got it done. So
Good.
when it was time for him to
Yeah,
get back, I had to make sure I was there to take care of him. When I couldn't do, he did. But right after the memorial and the burial, everything, then he kind of fell ill with that. But at that particular time, I knew I had to be there, to be strong. But we just worked together. And it's one of those things. It's not even something that you map out and say, well, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. You just go into mode and get it done. And before you know it, you just, it's like a machine that's just oiled and just running. That's how you do it. And when it's
Right.
time to go and hide and cry and to, get ugly and scream and ask God why, then you come back out and you say, okay, I'm good. Let's continue on.
Yeah,
That's just kind of how, it's been. But that support system is like gold. And I
absolutely.
wouldn't give it up for anything. The support that I've had and the support that I've needed. It's gold. I wouldn't give it up.
Yeah, no, that's definitely.
Mm.
So what does sharing your story mean to you? I think you pretty much touched upon that. So along with that, what would you say to inspire somebody else that's going through it?
What I would say is, of course, the circumstances are unique to that person. Loss is just a unique experience. I would say that whatever you have to do to express that pain in a healthy way, then do it. Do not deny yourself your emotions, because those emotions belong to you. And sometimes those tears can be fuel, and it can be precious, and it's just reminding you. But take those memories and um look at those memories in a positive way. We know the person may not be here. We may not know, even I don't even know how the person may have passed away, but still, they're not here. So take those
Right.
positive memories and build upon that. And then also remember that each moment that you're breathing and each day that you get up to a new dawning is another chance for you to work towards a goal, to reach goals, to set yourself up for, success, whatever it is that you got to do. Make
Right.
sure that you're taking care of you, and that you give yourself something to leave behind in this world. When it's your time to go, what are they going to say about you? What did you do with the time you had left? We can cry, we can roll on the floor, and we can curl up in a ball, but
Mhm.
you know the time is precious, because like I said before, he may be gone, but I'm still here. So I can't just not do something and not enjoy the time I do have, because I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be gone too. So I
Right.
have to, you have to keep moving. So I would encourage someone to just to find purpose. It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be something that's spectacular as having a multi-million dollar business. It could be something as taking the holidays and just going and serving someone a good meal, in honor of your loved one, or just taking some time out and have evening tea and read something and say, this time is the remembrance of my loved one, and this is my special time of remembering, and my special time to sit and just enjoy the atmosphere. Whatever it is you got to do, just make sure that you're enjoying something, and
Right.
turn that pain into some purpose, and turn the grief into something that you can embrace, because grief is a lifelong thing. So
Right. I
turn it into something that you can embrace. If you got to cry, then afterwards laugh about how ugly you look from all the tears, and your face is
Right.
all swollen and red, and then laugh and say,
Yeah.
oh my God, look, I look a mess. But then hey, I would just let the emotions come and just fall into it, and rest in it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your story about your chapter. So once again, you guys can read that chapter in the book, Turning My Pain into Purpose. So last but not least, we're going to go to Pastor Gail. So let me pull up your information. Whoops. All right. So Pastor Gail Ellis Burks was born September. It just went away. Hold on a second. I was reading it. There we go. She was born September 11th, 1959, to the union of the late Carly and Dorothy Jean Ellis. She is the third child of 8 siblings. Raised by her aunt and other family members, Gail has always felt blessed by the Lord. She is a mother of 2 children, Tabitha, Dorothy Barber and Anthony Barber Jr. She is a grandmother of 5 beautiful grandchildren, Jalen, Antonio, Antoine, I'm not going to say those full names, it's hard to pronounce, Sahara, and Azriel, I can't say them all. Gail was ordained.
Very good.
I tried. I'm like, I can't do that. She gave me like their full name. So I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'll chop it up. I'm sorry. Gail was ordained in December 2002 at His Way Ministries. Gail has been a God warrior for more than 20 years, supporting the church in a broad array of positions. She was ordained a pastor for Volunteers of America in 2011. Gail graduated from Mount Zion Bible College and Seminary located in Rochester, New York. Obtaining her bachelor's in theology, Gail loves to teach the Word of God. She's a professor at Bible Center of Rochester, a Bible college, and Mount Zion Bible College and Seminar. She is the founder of Another Chance Ministry, 70 by 7, established in 2002. She is also founded of Pamper, Power, and Praise, a women conference held 2000 to 2005, which was developed to build women for the kingdom of God. Currently, Gail is working for BIPOC Peak in her own program geared for greatness. She loves her work and is passionate in her efforts to assist her clients by helping them obtain proper clothing for employment. I love that. And equipping them with basic working skills. She also assists parents and caregivers get information on how to best serve their children with special needs.
That's enough, Paula.
That's enough? Okay, I was making sure I didn't miss anything.
That is enough, Paula.
All right, so welcome, Pastor Gail.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and letting me come. And thank you, ladies, for sharing before me. Made me feel a little comfortable.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you. So tell us a little bit about the name. Well, where did you grow up? And then the name of your chapter.
Okay, so I grew up in, I started in Arkansas, in Haines, Arkansas, Little Rock, down in that area. My family moved to Waterport, and then we moved to Albion. I graduated from Albion High School. And then when I got older and had my children, I moved to Brockport, and then I ended up in Rochester. So all in upstate New York.
Okay, nice. And what's the name of your chapter?
My chapter is only the beginning, and then it's ... but God.
Oh, wow. Almost like the name of my book. But God, I'm still here.
Yep, it's only the beginning, ... but God.
And once again, did you have to think about writing that book, or did you know right away that you wanted to write it?
I guess I was like in between. what happened was when she put the proposal out there, I had written in another book, In Pursuit of Fearless Living. So I had just did that. And so I guess I was a little comfortable in writing. And this is like a sequel to this In the Beginning, But God is like a sequel to what I first wrote about, which was Breathe.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your chapter.
My chapter starts with the pain and purpose of losing my daughter, Tabitha Barber. And I lost her in 2023, April 16th, to sickle cell.
Oh.
She was born with sickle cell, and that's where my purpose began. I started out with the purpose of she was born to me when she was 3 years old. We found out that she had SC disease, which is a form of sickle cell. So for her to be 42 when she passed away, so we have been living with that is, living with her having sickle cell all of that time, and she finally passed away in April of 2023.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Once again, if you haven't noticed, God uses me to connect people. So I was just thinking of somebody. He advocates for sickle cell. He's on one of my prayer calls. He's doing an event now, as a matter of fact, in the towards Christmas time for sickle cell. So I'll connect you with him. Maybe there's some things you could do together.
Well, that's fine.
His name is.
We just, like Millicent said, me and her connected from our first book, and we found out we had a lot of stuff in common. So it's good to have partners. But when I hear Teresa talk about her program that she have, I work with breaking the stigma of mental health, because that's what a lot of it is stigma. People don't know, and we try to do is make it common. Just like if you broke your arm, you would go to the doctor. So if you have a mental illness, go to the doctor. You don't feel any way bad about that. So we try to, where I work at, it's called BIPOC Peak. And the BIPOC is Black, Indigenous People of Color. PEAK stands for Parents and Caregiver, Educating, Elevating, and Empowering each other for the disparities for our kids with special needs. So we try to help. All of them E's mean something. It's PEAK with 6 E's and a K. So all of those E's mean something. So what we try to do is work with the parents and caregivers of children with special needs to make sure that they get the services so they can give to their children. A lot of times that we can get services, some service for your kid, but the parents don't know what services to get. So we try to work with the parents to make sure that they can get the services they need for their children. And that's what I get paid to do. But my other, my business is Geared for Greatness, and that's when I do the job interviewing, soft skill training, and trying to make sure that people have that can go back to work, get sufficient clothes so they can go to work and feel proud when they're at work, and making sure they have all of that. So that's what that's my company is that, and Another Chance Ministry is a part of that. We also have a foundation called the Tabitha Warrior Foundation, where we try to help parents of children with sickle cell, because when they go into the hospital, they can be in the hospital 23 days, 30 days, 50 days, they can be in the hospital for a long time. And if that's not your only child, that means that you got to pay for parking, which is here in Rochester, $6 a day.
Oh, Lord.
You got to pay for a babysitter to watch the other kids while you are at the hospital. And then you got to eat. So a lot of those things, that's not covered in, those things are not covered. So what we're trying to do with the foundation is to be able to help those parents of those children, like pay for parking. We know that the economy is really in a strait. It's in dire need, because people are trying to. I just went to Albany yesterday. We was trying to end child poverty. because a lot of kids are going to bed hungry. And if you have a child that's going to the hospital and you gotta pay for parking, you gotta pay for somebody to watch your other kids, you gotta pay for you to eat. That's a lot of stuff that you gotta pay for. Plus, try to make sure that your children at home are getting taken care of. So that's what the Tabitha Warrior Foundation. And we want to educate people because a lot of people don't know a lot about sickle cell. They only know sickle cell anemia, but it's a lot more to sickle cell than sickle cell anemia. And people with sickle cell traits, they like, oh, I only got the trait. Well, there's certain things that been happening with your body with the trait, and then they just been writing it off. But we're trying to educate them that not only sickle cell anemia, sickle cell SD, sickle cell anemia, it's a lot of different sickle cell, and the sickle cell trait, you could be having a whole bunch of stuff that's going on that might then contribute to you having the trait.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. You are just like a powerhouse. So we are almost out of time. So Pastor Gail, we'll start with you. How can people reach you?
How people can reach me, they can hit me, my email or my Facebook is Gail Ellis Burks on Facebook, or Gail Burks at yahoo.com if they wanted to get in contact with me. So
all right. Thank you for being on. And like I said, I'll see if I can connect you with Tony, because he advocates for sickle cell. He's a musician. He's you know, like a Christian musician. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, definitely. Dr. Millicent, how can people reach you?
On Facebook, you can reach me at Millicent the Strategist, and my website is millicentthestrategist.com, and also by email at info@millicentdriver.com.
Okay, thank you. Teresa, how can we reach you?
There we go. Good evening, everyone. So you can reach me at Hearts Place Services, LLC, hearts-place.com, my website. You can reach me by email, which is heartsplace1@gmail.com. You can also reach me on Facebook as well as LinkedIn, and all of that is under Hearts Place.
All right, thank you. And Pamela?
Yes, you can reach me on Instagram under the Pamela Hankins. Facebook is Pamela Hankins. You can also email me at the Chronicles of a Praying Wife at yahoo.com and under P. Hankins LLC.
Well, I want to thank you all once again, congratulate you all once again for being best-selling authors. I'm excited for all of you, and I look forward to connecting with all of you. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've all met, you know, because Pamela, one last thing, I'm really feeling called to help the people out in Western North Carolina with all that they're going through. So there's no coincidence that we're connecting as well. No coincidence. I mean, I can't do a lot physically, but I can on a computer, you know, so God's given me a lot of ideas. So I'm going to start putting that together. So maybe there's something we can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Absolutely. So I look forward to connecting with all of you. Once again, everybody, I'm looking for people to be sponsors, to be guests on the show. I also offer business funding. If you need business funding, hit me up. And we'll see you on next Sunday. And so this was part 2. Make sure you watch part 1, and then we're going to have, I believe, one more part. So stay tuned for one more part with more co-authors of the book. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Paula, for taking your time out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm Melissa.
Paula, and good night, everyone. Thank you to my co-authors.
Yes.